Yo, what's going on, people? He who greets with fire here. Um, just wanted to do a quick little analysis, man, of some of the talking that has gone around after the Vasil Lomachenko Luke Campbell fight this weekend. A lot of interesting discussions going on around the internet, YouTube and Facebook and all that, Twitter. If you didn't get a chance to see the fight, Luke Campbell and Vasily Lomachenko fought in a competitive chess match type of fight for the unified 135-pound belt. Three of the four championship belts that are at that weight. The fight kind of went the way a lot of people expected. I'm not that high on Luke Campbell. I've seen him fight, I think, 3 times. The first time I saw him against Linares, and he got knocked out. And I've seen him a couple times since then. A lot of people now. It's funny to me because because of the performance he put on against Lomachenko, you got a lot of people now that are trying to turn him into the second coming of Ray fucking Robinson or some shit like that. You go to some boxing channels, man. These guys are, they kill me. But these guys, now all of a sudden Luke Campbell is this fucking super world class guy. He had a great amateur background. He's tall for the weight class. But that's really it, man. I mean, he's got a pretty decent ring IQ, but he's a basic ass fighter, man. Not really quick, not great power. Doesn't have great power. Lomachenko did what Lomachenko does. Now, Lomachenko, although he's been getting knockouts, he's been having. You can see these knockouts, these victories. They're not easy for him. He's taken some punishment over the last 6 or 7 fights. Maybe not 6 or 7, but over the last maybe 4 or 5 fights. I've seen him getting marked up more and more, nicked up. And this fight was a tough one for him, even though he won the majority of the rounds when you watch the fight. But he had to work hard. And, there are people trying to be dismissive of those of us who watched that fight and think they saw maybe some slippage. Watched that fight and saw areas where other guys, younger, up-and-coming guys, could have some success. Notably, the 3 guys, Teofimo Lopez, Dev Haney, and Tank Davis, of course. Having watched what Campbell was able to do, I definitely think those 3 cats have a more than a good enough shot of not only beating Lomachenko, but stopping him, man. Because in my opinion, all 3 of those guys hit significantly harder than Luke Campbell does. And there were moments in that fight where Campbell, I wouldn't say Lomachenko was hurt, but he was definitely shaken a little bit, by some of the shots he was getting hit with. Now, can those guys fight the kind of fight that Campbell did? Campbell fought a very patient, basic fight. He didn't expend a lot of himself early on. He didn't expose himself. He didn't allow himself to become befuddled by the things that Lomachenko likes to do. He didn't fall victim to the traps. He didn't fall victim to the feints and the pressure that Lomachenko likes to put on. And, he listen, I mean, Campbell, he probably fought the best to his abilities. Now, I would think Tank Davis would have the more difficult time out of all of those guys because he's the shorter guy. And I haven't seen Tank show those wrinkles yet that he can be a sort of stand on the back foot, patient boxer, because that's what he would have to be against Lomachenko. He wouldn't be able to just come in and just simply use his physicality. Lomachenko's too good of a fighter for that. Tank would have to be defensively responsible. He would have to be patient, throw the jab. But Tank has some physical abilities that Luke Campbell just doesn't have. And most importantly, that power. Same thing with Lopez and Haney. Although I suspect Lopez and Haney can do more of what Campbell did in the sense that they can box and be patient. Lopez had a tough time against that Japanese fighter I know in his last outing. I think that was good for him also because, like Tank, he's been getting a lot of knockouts, and that's not necessarily good. You gotta work on your craft, hone your craft, sharpen your skill. But I think Haney definitely, man, with his size, his IQ, his youth, his exuberance, his enthusiasm. These guys, they're looking at what I like is that they're, at least from Lopez and Haney. It's funny because I don't really hear Tank. He doesn't really talk about Lomachenko openly, but those guys, they sound like young hungry lions. They sound like guys that look at Lomachenko and they're not impressed. Haney already said he came out recently right after that fight and said, "Listen, I can beat him. I can beat Lomachenko." Teofimo's been in the media on Lomachenko's neck for about a year. So, Lomachenko, as far as him being pound for pound number one, man, I don't see how you can have him over Canelo and Crawford. And, I'm not even going to necessarily argue, although I would put Lomachenko number 3 behind those two. But I wouldn't argue if you want to put Usyk or Pacquiao, simply because, speaking in terms of Pacquiao, what he's done resume-wise speaks for itself. And then the performance against another world-class caliber fighter in Keith Thurman, what can you say about Manny Pacquiao? But I would definitely, my pound-for-pound list, I would start it off with Terrence Crawford. Because, now, also, it depends on what your criteria is. Like, I know over at, what's that guy's name? Ring IQ, that dude, he's got a weird kind of funky pound for pound list. His criteria is a little different. I kind of go by eye test, competition, and resume. That's kind of what I kind of go off of. So it's very subjective. I know that. But, that's kind of what I go off of. That's why, for me, I think Crawford, because of, he kind of matches all that criteria as far as eye test, resume, competition. Canelo, same thing, man. Canelo's been fighting world-class opponents for the last couple years. And, other than a couple fights, he's looked really good, And then, to me, the reason why I say Usyk has an argument for number 3 is simply based off of eye test. Now, the cruiserweight division is a hot division. It's a lot of good work in the cruiserweight division. But Usyk, when you're a cruiserweight, you're kind of trapped in a box because not a lot of people pay attention to that division. But what Usyk was able to do with the tournament and the subsequent other top fighters, he was able to just totally dismantle, man. I mean, that guy definitely is in the conversation. And then Loma, you got to be impressed with what he's been able to do. Although I will say the over-the-top ESPN dramatization, the convulsions and the, oh my God, did you see all that shit. That shit cracks me up, man. Tim Bradley and, Andre Ward. I can kind of tell Andre Ward, he's putting on the show, man. He's like, they're paying me to do this, but some of that stuff is a little annoying. But, yeah, man, I think, I definitely think Crawford, Canelo, and Loma are your top guys. Let's see. I'm going to see if I can do it off the top of my head real fast. Who I got? I got Crawford, Canelo, Loma, Usyk, Pacquiao, and then Spence at number 6. So, yeah, again, man, for the people that are like the sycophants over at certain boxing channels that want to chime in, see, these guys, man, I was having a discussion on Ring IQ's page, and first of all, this dude, he tries to make it seem like you're so off base. You're this fringe boxing guy, boxing enthusiast, because you have a difference of opinion. Okay, I don't think Lomachenko is the best fighter in the world. I think Tank Davis would give Lomachenko a great fight. He constantly goes at PBC. Constantly. So anytime you have something that's not negative to say about a PBC fighter, he automatically takes that personal, and he comes and he attacks you. And he's got a bunch of sycophant fans over his channel, and then they'll jump in the comments and all that shit. But that shit don't bother me, because time proves me right time and time again. Joshua, I knew that dude was going to take that L. Took that L. You know what I'm saying? Tyson Fury. He's about to fight who? Another tomato can dude? Deontay Wilder's about to fight Ortiz, a guy who nobody else wants to fight. So, like I said, man, time is the ultimate teacher. And when you go by the agenda, when you listen to the agenda-driven media, these are the same guys that put Kovalev on the pedestal. They put Triple G on the pedestal. They put Chocolatito on the pedestal. Now they got Lomachenko up here and Tyson Fury up here on the pedestal. These were the ones. These were the same people that would criticize Mayweather for his 20-something odd year career of boxing excellence and brilliance. These are the same guys that keep moving the goalposts for Terrence Crawford, even though he keeps accomplishing great thing after great thing after great thing and looking incredible doing it. These are the same guys that went after Don King when he was a promoter and drove Don King out of business. The most successful black promoter of all time. Now these same guys are going after PBC. These are the same guys. I'm telling you, man. It might be different faces. It might be different names. But it's the same agenda. It's the same spirit. It's the same mind. But you know what? Like I said, time proves all things. And cream always rises to the top. Lomachenko's a great fighter. But you'd have to be a fool to not have watched that fight and think to yourself, man, those young cats, those young boys out there that are gunning for Lomachenko, they got some tools, man, that they could bring to that fight that would present a really big problem. So anyway, man, that's my thoughts. He who greets with fire. I'm out. Peace.